Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another episode of Liberal White Dudes. I am Andrew.
I'm Jared.
I'm AJ.
And we are Liberal White Dudes. I looked down, the desktop audio might have been on during the pre-stream there. So anybody got a earful of that, that's pretty funny.
Nice.
Tonight's topic is hearings. There have been some hearings going on this week, and we want to talk a little bit about those. But first, some recent news, like we do. Tiger Woods was in a pretty serious car accident. You can see where that was in LA, and not great. People are speculating that maybe the end of his, golf career, but it appears as though he will survive the accident. They had to get him out. Jaws of life. There seemed to be some weird activity as far as the police were concerned, like pulling things out of the car, possibly stealing from a guy who just got in an accident. I don't know. So we'll see.
Would not put it past him.
Yeah. More news about that.
Developing story.
Yeah. I mean, there's so rarely any like bad news about the LA police that I was a little bit surprised.
It's like the first time that's ever happened, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. That there might be anything untoward happening in that department.
That's not necessarily on brand, is it?
Another thing,
or is it?
In the news, Republicans are suggesting that maybe a $10 minimum wage would be the way to go. Maybe instead of going to 15, which is not a livable wage.
Yeah, it's not. We should go to 10, which is much less.
Yeah, maybe 2/3 of that. You can't survive on 15? Well, how about 10?
About 10. Maybe we should have shot high. Maybe it's one of those rules of bargaining where you give them. It's one of those rules of bargaining where you give them like an over, And maybe we should have just been like $30 an hour, and then like see how they respond.
Yeah, they should have said 20,
well, if we do it, they're gonna do that. Yeah,
23. What keeps up with productivity compared to the last time it was raised. If they'd have started maybe there at 22, but they backed off the 15 almost immediately. They were like, hey, $15 an hour. Well, maybe by 25, $15 an hour. And Republicans are like, hey, if you're willing to not do anything of value, how about $10 an hour? And you can just see the Democrats being like, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, compromise, smile.
Right.
Morons.
Yeah, unity, right?
This is not what we're looking for. There's something that there's been discourse about actually is the whole, Pelosi statement about the strong Republican Party, right? How like, we want a strong Republican Party. I was like, no, we don't. I don't want a Republican Party at all. Actually, if we're stuck into a two-party system, let's get a second party that's like way to the left. Let's have if we're gonna let's just have the Democrats be like farther right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Make me back in my more comfortable conservative skin, where I say things like $15 minimum wage, and the majority of folks are like, that's ridiculous. That doesn't even keep up with inflation and productivity. It should be $22 an hour. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe we compromise.
Yeah, I just don't understand why we need such a strong
17. Yeah,
I just don't understand why we have such a strong why we have such a need for this that counterpoint on that side of it, because it's not like that. Like that's, I mean, maybe that's subjective to say, but that's the wrong side. We're going the wrong way with this. If we're gonna the way that this always works is that compromise will pull us towards the center of where those two things are, right?
Yeah.
And generally, and the right is so far right at this point that getting to the center of where our liberal sort of centrism is, and the right, we're gonna end up somewhere in like conservative territory anyway, and that's not where I want to be. Yeah. It's not where I want to be at all.
Right.
The whole Texas power debacle really just gave us a really good look into, how Republicans govern. It was a good just sort of example of what it's like to have Republican leadership from the top down govern when in 2011 they're sitting around saying this should never happen again, and then 10 years almost to the day you watch it happen again, because they do not care.
No.
If you die.
If you die.
Nope. They don't.
Yeah. They don't care if you're uncomfortable. They don't care. Stop being poor. Stop not having the money to just
go back to that bootstraps thing.
Yeah.
Sucks to suck, man.
Yeah,
I don't know what to tell you.
Stop being not me. That's basically the leadership of the Republican Party's like whole talking point is like, stop being not me. Well off, entitled, and comfortable, also wielding a lot of power. Just stop being that, and maybe you'd American dream.
Yeah, right.
Because there's no like from here to there. They don't have really a roadmap for that, but that is their suggestion. Just stop.
Yeah, it's so strange to me that there's like that people are so tied to that belief system as well. The whole, I mean, I understand being anti-government. The thing too is like I'm anti our government. We have something like I don't love our government for a lot of the stuff that it does. We can have some commonality on that, but the way that you guys go about taking down like being anti-establishment is by playing establishment in a huge way. They vote for people who like say they're going to do one thing and then in a lot of ways just ruin everything else. And
they're one issue voters. They don't look at how these people actually govern. They don't look at whether or not they're capable of doing the job, interested in doing the job. Like none of that is on their radar at all. They care about whether or not abortion is legal, or you are for or against it, and whether or not you're for or against gays, and whether or not you're for or against trans people.
It just makes me wonder
they
because
will
I know,
vote. Yeah,
because I know there are people that are like smart enough, over there, and it's like if you look, and we said this before, I'm sure, but if you look to your right and you look to your left, and you see, like some of the like just the worst elements of human beings, racists and homophobes and just some of the and just idiots in a lot of cases. Not that there aren't idiots on our side too, but like conspiracy theorists and like just. Once your side is so ridden with people like that, I don't know how as a reasonable person, you look at all that stuff and you're like, yeah, my party's still fine. The values that I stand for are still fine. Like, I feel like there should be some sort of introspection there when you're standing around a bunch of, like, fascists. So, like, there should be, it feels like there should be a level of introspection there.
Which is hearings. Senator Ron Johnson at the Capitol Police hearing where they're talking about the insurrection with the former Capitol Police chief. Who expressed regret for having resigned. He said he shouldn't have resigned. Woulda, coulda, right? I mean, whatever.
Right.
But during the entire time, so Ron Johnson, he decided to use his time during that hearing to talk about how maybe the insurrectionists weren't Trump supporters. And how, maybe...
Even though they were, though, because that's been debunked so many fucking times. I can't even count anymore how many times that's been debunked. Yeah, it's just outrageous that you even bring that up on the fucking floor at this point.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing, dude? Like, we know that's not true.
When you say stuff like that. Like, I know we just had somebody who remained president for 4 years longer than he should have. Who used to say things without facts, without any sort of evidence, without anything in reality, and then, like, try and make them true. But still continuing to push these kinds of narratives as a senator for the United States. Like, I don't understand. Again, where's the manager? Where are the people?
At this stage, pushing it at this stage too is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's already been debunked.
Not running this guy out on a rail.
Yeah, we're past this, man. We know who it was. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's move on past Trumpism, for God's sake. Let's look forward to the future and stop having this be an issue. Now, I know that it won't go away entirely, but we can maybe take it out of our official process.
Yeah, I mean, Ted Cruz.
Where the adults are supposed to be, where, the grown-ups, play ball. Maybe we take the kids out.
Ted Cruz, during that hearing, while the guy was testifying, was on his phone. Just making a show of the fact that he wasn't listening. Maybe playing...
Right. Well, not paying attention and not being present in the moment is kind of on par with him, right? That's the kind of been his bag past couple of weeks here.
It's on brand. I'm not saying it's a huge departure from, what he
Ted Cruz as an individual,
does. Yeah. But it's just like, this is a, where's the back of the blue? I mean, this is a police officer. It's like with Vindman, where they just ran him out on a rail, even though he was a military guy, public service his whole life, true to his country, a true patriot.
A combat vet.
Yeah. And then they just run him out on a
the one they claim to worship, essentially, for patriotism's sake. It's like, oh, but you don't hate the same people I hate. You're not lining up with my agenda. Oh, then
yeah, you're trying to actually actively stop corruption inside of our government. Then I hate you. No. You're out of here.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, there was an
interesting
care less
video, about back the blue.
It was an interesting. Yeah, it was an interesting video I watched where it's a lady who does political interview stuff, and she went out to she was at the Capitol riot, and she was just kind of talking to people, asking, just figuring out what their deal was, and her question was, should you be able to burn the American flag? That was basically the question she was asking, and most of the people were like, no, that's an affront to the country, this and that. First she asked them if they were a veteran, and then asks them about it, and the thing she came up with is that everybody that was a veteran was like, yeah, I mean, I fought for your right to do that. It's really strange. I was like, it's like, it's like, it's all the people that were like, no, it's an affront to the country, and the veterans, you're this, and then the veterans like, I mean, yeah. I don't agree with it, but this is what I fought for your right to do, so I guess, and I think it's interesting, the juxtapose there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna do a flag burning episode, but yeah, there's no reason we can't burn our flag in protest. I'm not a huge fan of that particular sign of protest because I do love my country, but
agreed.
But I get it, hearings. So in addition to that Capitol Police hearing, Merrick Garland had his hearing to be the AG for our country. He said some very touching words, some personal words, and it was super weird. I was super taken aback by, if you remember the confirmation hearings for your Betsy DeVos's and your Ben Carsons, and any of them,
any of them
from the previous administration,
any of those individuals, pretty much.
They didn't answer basic questions about the posts that they were going to be taking, nor could they in any way appeal as a person, as a human being, come across, as a functioning adult. If you recall, Betsy DeVos said you might want to have guns in your classroom for grizzly bears. Common classroom threat, apparently. Couldn't answer any.
We've all seen it.
I dealt with several.
If you went to public
I've dealt with several bears.
You encountered a grizzly bear. Everyone did.
So Merrick Garland,
I remember that. Yeah.
Not only has the wherewithal to, an AG does and that kind of thing, but he related it to himself personally in his own past, and told a touching story about his grandparents and stuff. So,
he also acknowledged that systematic racism exists. It's something to address.
Yeah,
it's something to actually acknowledge.
Place to start, right?
As a thing, just a contrast to Bill Barr,
Yeah, it's such a low bar.
Bit of a contrast there. Such a low bar indeed. But nevertheless,
when your AG was used to be an authoritarian. Like straight up an authoritarian, like that. That's like he was pro authoritarianism. That was his whole bag. Having somebody that's like actually pro democracy and pro, it's interesting.
Cut and run.
Get those folks in there.
Started to hit the fan. Barr slides out the side door.
Right on time.
His fascism stops working.
Investigated as far as the things that he did that were awful. That confirmation hearing was just like, man, it's so weird to watch qualified, well-spoken humans going up for the most important jobs in our country.
Agreed. It's such a stark contrast to the disappointment. Yeah.
Additional hearings. Neera Tanden for the Office of Management and Budget. Now, I don't know if you guys have heard anything about these particular hearings. I didn't hear anything about the previous person as far as that goes. I don't know who held that post previously. But Republicans have been all up in arms pretty much for any candidate who is a woman of color. That has been their sort of bag. That's surprising, right?
Yeah.
Woman of
color. I mean, it's been their bag since
position of power. What? That doesn't seem like something we
Excuse
should
me?
be doing. So the big transgression for this particular woman is that she used to tweet mean things.
Yeah. Really?
She would get on Twitter
really
and tweet mean things. She
was
called
it like racist
McConnell,
things?
No, see that's the thing. They're not racist.
Oh, strange.
They're not like anti-Semitic or like
or
not incitements to violence.
No,
of some sort.
No,
oh, really?
It was more. This is the kind of thing we would do, or say on this show. She called. She likened McConnell to Voldemort, which I don't think is super apropos. They have a similar look, but like Voldemort's got like a lot of powers and stuff. I mean,
I feel like McConnell's a little frail for.
If I had to pick a roommate
for Voldemort level power,
maybe baby Voldemort. Remember in like the third book when he was still like didn't have his power yet, and like Wormtongue had to
like coming back or whatever.
Had to carry him around like in a little like baby Bjorn. That maybe
baby Bjorn Voldemort.
Voldemort's face looks a lot better than McConnell's face.
Yeah. Even Sans nose.
Yeah.
Sans nose, yeah.
It still looks better.
So she said that. She also referred to Susan Collins as, quote, the worst. Which,
Wow. I'm surprised she was confident enough to say that sort of thing, insults like that are really like personal deep dive attacks. It's surprising to see people in power make moves like that.
Yeah.
To call someone the worst?
Right?
Wow. I mean
first off,
geez, that's not
Susan
level.
Collins, not the worst. She might be the worst Democrat, in that she is a sometimes Democrat voting Republican.
Yeah.
So she might be the worst Democrat. But she's not the worst. I mean, even among Republican senators, not the worst.
Yeah. I will say, though, I mean, it depends on the context because I use the worst for all kinds of things that definitely aren't the worst. So I think that's definitely more of like, that social media post. Like, you're just making a point. Like, I say Mitch McConnell's the worst, and he's definitely not the worst, but I would say bee stings are the worst. Yeah. I think they deserve to be in the category of the worst because they're one of the worst.
Is the worst on the fence Republican. She frequently says that she's going to vote a certain way, like the first impeachment as an example, ends up voting the other way and saying, I think Trump learned his lesson. That was the first impeachment. She said, I think he learned his lesson here.
That's what we were trying to do. That was what was important to us as America, was teaching him a lesson.
Yeah, ruler to the wrist.
He did not even
not getting him out of office because he didn't deserve to be in office and was unqualified for the job. We just wanted to teach him a lesson, and I think he got that.
Yeah, and was threatening our allies to dig up political dirt on his possible presidential opponent, withholding aid in order to do that.
Far be it for us to say that Trump's optics were bad. Because, oh my goodness, his optics were so bad. I just...
So anyways.
But so I wouldn't say she was factually accurate in saying that Susan Collins is the worst. But also, she never called Rosie O'Donnell a fat pig or anything.
Yeah, I
mean, how is any Republican with a straight face going to say you're not qualified to be head of the Office of Budget and Management and Budget when
you said mean things?
You tweeted mean things.
I mean, that can't be any more a qualification or disqualification for office.
Was her response just a list? Was her response just a list of Trump tweets? Because that's what it should have been. Like, let me read you a few other tweets. Oh wait, these weren't mine. These were President Trump's. I'm sorry. You keep going though.
Yeah, I would read them to you directly from Twitter, the platform, except that it looks like his account's not there.
Oh, it's not even there anymore.
Incited an insurrection.
Yeah, awkward. Awkward. I can't even look at his Twitter. How awkward is that?
Say that, and it's just like, oh yes, but please continue and tell me about how my tweets were mean. I got it. Yes, that disqualifies me in some way. I'm confused.
So, I would recommend to our listening audience, if you have the opportunity to listen to some of these confirmation hearings, I mean, these candidates are exemplary, qualified. There has been a little bit of backlash to Javier Becerra. The guy
experience really is their one's concern, I think, right?
Which again, Republicans cannot say that having absolutely any qualifications to hold public office is any longer a detriment to doing so when they voted to confirm absolutely everybody across the board for the previous administration. 0 qualified candidates. People who were anti the department that they were joining.
Yeah.
Actively,
and like Jared Kushner exists.
Yeah. Actively working against.
Just for a minute too.
Yeah.
What? Way to ruin my name, dude. Do better. You're a representative on a public stage for Jareds everywhere. I need you to do better than that because that sucked.
Yeah, your name actually doesn't have a great track record with Jared from Subway.
No, it just that's just something I was saying. I was talking about this the other night with a couple of friends. I was just like, why does my namesake? I mean, the only one that it's like Jared Padalecki is the only one that I can be like, I mean, that's not bad. And he's like the lead actor in Supernatural. He's one of the brothers. I'm like, I mean, that's like a Jared, I guess, but we need to do better.
It's like B-level Jared.
Yeah, it's like a B star. Yeah, B tier. The A tier Jareds all seem to be also like F tier Jareds and people. Like, just do better.
Do better, Jareds. I mean,
to all Jareds. A message to all Jareds.
A third of a hit
podcast. Liberal talking podcast,
So it's not like
we're out there.
Jared nothing. All right.
But yeah, like you mentioned, I had to look it up because it drove me nuts. His EPA secretary, Andrew Wheeler, was, or Dylan Pruitt also, but prominent for the rejection of on climate change. I mean, it's basically like you're being hired to head the department that's supposed to look into this, combat this, and it's like but you're also kind of like a giant climate change denier.
Yeah.
So how do you possibly get that position? Like, how could you possibly be qualified, be the right person for that particular job? So I don't ever want to hear that again from anybody on the right about experience. I'm like, nah.
Perry was the one who couldn't remember the Department of Energy when he was trying to list just the cabinet positions, and that's the one that he ended up with. And of course, Betsy DeVos didn't know basic questions from Al Franken about how people are graded in schools or anything about public education,
because she had no experience with public education, but certainly was the right person to lead the department for public education. Wait, do I have that right? I have that right. Yeah, she had no experience in public education, led the department for public education. Got it.
Carson, during his confirmation hearings, they were asking him about some basic acronyms related to HUD, and he was like, Oreos? I don't know.
Very confused. Yeah.
You're talking about. I thought this was all cleared up. I didn't realize there was going to be questions here today.
Yeah, and he laughed it off. He had very much a demeanor like, I did not know I was going to be interviewed for this position.
Yes.
I thought it was a done deal.
Yeah, I was under the impression.
Filled out a job app in forever. What is this?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I'm Brad Pitt, you're Tarantino. Like, you just call me and say, do you want to be in my movie? I say yes. I show up on the day.
Yeah.
I didn't know there'd be all this rigmarole. What is this?
These surprise questions about my qualifications.
Yeah,
I'm not qualified. Next question. Oh, I still get the job? Cool.
Yeah.
Good.
We all knew that.
Yeah.
Swish.
Up top.
Yeah.
It was good to see that, though, today. Especially Merrick Garland. I did watch that hearing and or excerpts of it while I was at work, and it was good to see someone in that position that you're like, oh, thank God.
Truth,
and I'm not one of these people that's
American way, maybe.
Right, and I'm not one of these people that's naive and wants to say like every nominee, every Democrat is saving the world, or we're not naive. We've all said on this show Biden wouldn't have been our pick for a nomination, but at this point, in contrast to the previous administration, it's just nice to see people that take their job seriously get consideration.
Yeah.
The Republicans were even asking Merrick Garland to try and make sure that he wouldn't politicize the position.
Jesus Christ. The fucking balls on these people.
Yeah.
It's like, were you here the last 5 fucking years?
I think they all have dementia. God. I think they just have all suffered from some sort of like Men in Black, like
every
memory
time
loss.
I hear a high-level Republican, Mitch McConnell specifically, but then also lots of others talk, it's like, please don't do to us what we've been doing to you. That's basically what it is. They're like, please don't do what we've been doing. And the Democrats are like, oh, we would never, because we don't wield power at all ever.
Yeah, because we high road. Our high horse is getting sore. I'm gonna be honest. I'm getting a little chafed from always riding the high horse on this whole thing.
I mean, just the. I mean, we already did a hypocrisy episode, but the
height
of hypocrisy with these questions, you just don't. You really. I'm aghast. I'm just like, I don't. What? Did he really just ask that? Like, where did you get off?
Yeah.
No kidding. Absolutely. That would almost be my response. Like, if I'm Merrick Garland, I just almost want to be like, I'm sorry. Where the fuck do you get off asking me that? Because you know who held this position before me, right? Okay, next question.
Yeah.
Like, that should have been the answer.
Who sent out a summary of the Mueller report before anybody else was able to see it, and then ran an entire news cycle and campaign against what was actually in the report, and managed to convince a considerable amount of the American populace that nothing was found, that Trump was exonerated, and that the whole Russia thing, nothing happened of that. And Trump's still saying
fucking
that
criminal.
He's still saying that, and it's like, that's
well, of course
not
he is.
what happened.
It's one of the things about lying, especially for people that are narcissistic and like the worst human beings, is that once you hit that lying stride,
Susan Collins.
You just convince your like Susan Collins, who is the worst.
The worst.
You just get I feel like at a certain point you convince yourself. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I think to a certain extent, because he's senile and doesn't know what's going on, I think Trump's convinced himself that these things are true, which is the saddest part to me about that. But also F that guy.
Yeah, he definitely has convinced himself of these things, because otherwise, how would he? I mean, he has to believe this is all true. So
yeah.
So I give 4 out of 5 figs for the hearing process.
For the process of hearings,
1 out of 5 figs for the Republicans that are part of the process, or actively showing that they're not part of the process. Good for some humor, I guess.
I will say, I mean, I consider my figs are given because I'm just so, again, very satisfied with the picks in a lot of ways, you know? I mean, first of all, there's always going to be someone better for the job. Like, obviously, I mean, there's a lot of people in the world. So, like, yeah, chances are this probably isn't the absolute best person. And maybe it's bias. And obviously, if you're a Republican, you hate it. But me as, a leftist, and I am a registered Democrat, I'm not stoked on all of these, including Biden. But it's just such a pleasant relief to the previous administration that it's just nice to see. If nothing else, it's just nice to see responsible adults doing their jobs. That's just good.
A resume that might float to the top if it was a job posting somewhere. It might be in the top, 20% of resumes, when we've had people who wouldn't even submit a resume for the job.
Yeah.
Who would read the description and be like, no, I hate that. That's not for me.
Thanks, Jared.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's a wash. I'm gonna go 3, 2.5. Because I'm glad to see the people are doing their jobs like they're supposed to be now. That's great. At the same time, I hate Senate Republicans, so it's like it's a bit of a wash for me. I'm in the middle somewhere.
All right. Quick apology to AOC.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
We were not able to have her on the program tonight. Just ran out of time. It's possible we'll have her on some point in the future.
We have to.
I'm sure she's got thoughts on Merrick Garland. Yeah, just our apolitical content. Just get her in the fold.
Episode or something.
Yeah, she might be down for that. We'll ask her.
Yeah, she's done it before.
Yeah, we'll see. As you know, we are here every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 6 p.m. Pacific time. You can subscribe to us here on YouTube. You can like us over there on Facebook, and you can follow us on Twitter, where we're gosh darn hysterical. My mom tells me so. Thanks, everybody. Good night.